Yes, y'all. Welcome into another episode of your favorite Saturday brunch bunch, the Dumb Mars Podcast. Back at it again, live and in living color, each and every single Saturday at 11 a.m. Like we do, breaking everything down from the week that was in pro wrestling, giving you your Mount Rushmores and jabronis of the week. 3-man crew today, triple threat action. Pause, gentlemen. How we living? How we feeling? Everybody good?
Doing all right. How you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm playing injured right now. We're not going to go into details because I really don't know how it happened, but the little injured on the back front. So if you see me constantly squirming and adjusting, it's just because I feel like HBK after falling onto the casket back in the day. I don't know what happened, but boy,
At this age, it doesn't matter what happened. It just happens.
it was some of the worst pain. Some of the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life. Like I would not put back pain on my worst enemy after this week. Like it is by far the most uncomfortable thing ever. So lack of sleep, a lot of caffeine, just miserable right now, plain injured.
And Jason, you still got that sleeping bag?
Still got it. And I was like legit having to crawl to the bathroom might have been like the worst experience.
Bro, I went to give I went to give dogs food the other morning, and literally as I bent down to put their bowls on the ground, like I literally just immediately teared up and was in tears in my kitchen at like 6:30 in the morning. Just like that.
Is that when it happened?
Couldn't press up. So it happened kind of Monday morning. It was kind of like, this don't really feel right. Maybe I slept wrong. You know what I mean? But yeah, Wednesday, boy, it was like full throttle. Just locked up, seized, just the whole 9 yards. So I don't know.
I was picking up a paperback book.
Yeah, a paperback book. See,
a paperback book, and was just like
yeah.
It could be anything.
It really can't be anything.
Yeah, so just trying to do a lot of stretching, like heating pads, just a ton of Aleve, like So we're here.
Welcome to the Middle-Aged Man Podcast. We're gonna change it up.
No, let's not do that. We're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna do the whole episode. My back.
Yeah, my knee.
My knees a little tight right now.
My elbow. My corporal tunnel.
Podcasting's a tough sport, man. I mean,
that's right.
It's full contact.
But you know what? Hey, the standard is the standard, and we got to show up in pod. So that's what I did. I showed up to pod.
And speaking of which, episode 156 officially hitting the 3-year mark.
Officially. So welcome everybody. Thanks again for rocking and kicking it with your boys. We greatly appreciate it. Spread the word, man. Get us out there. We're trying. We can't figure out the damn algorithms for nothing. Trying to grow this show. I think we're unique in the space is what we do as far as breaking down pro wrestling.
It took them 3 years, but we got
there.
Hey, bro, this ain't effort. I'm in the basement. I'm trying to hide some shit.
Hide the water bugs.
This is a shower curtain.
It's literally a shower curtain.
Yes.
So yeah, a shower curtain that's not attached to a full bathroom. So just take that for what it is. But yeah, we're here, man. Spread the word. Get us out there. We're trying. We're unique in the space, I feel like, with what we do, how we present pro wrestling, the way we discuss it and break it down. A lot of banter back and forth, some shits and giggles, and hopefully keep you entertained for an hour and a half every Saturday morning with a recap. So with that being said, from an entertainment standpoint, as you can see from the title of this week's show, the line of the week was Burger King and Newports.
100%.
That was one of the greatest. I was in tears laughing so hard. And then to find out that Burger King tweeted at Stokely Hathaway saying his bald ass wouldn't have the courage to show up in a Burger King.
Is this gonna be like a cinnamon toast crunch match at WrestleMania? We're gonna have a Burger King match at AEW.
Which is with fried chicken sandwiches and Hershey pies.
Gonna have the brawl in the ball pit. Pause.
Hershey pie is probably one of the best fast food desserts there is.
Never had one from there.
Oh boy. That's probably the best thing that Burger King has ever put out was a Hershey pie. It's not even theirs, like from Hershey. So go figure.
They just get the credit for it.
Burger King and Newport. So we're here today. We're on that type of time today. We're here to chop it up. I'm here to make jokes today. I wish Donald was on the pod because I really wanted to hear his takes this week, especially from the AEW standpoint with the main event segment and how everything played out.
He did send them.
Oh, he did? Okay.
I have some commentary from him. I told him he should have recorded it instead of me reading it, but he sent a text over.
All right, so let's before we get into Mount Rushmore and everything else, Jabroni kind of hits misses like we like to do. Apparently, CM Punk is in talks with WWE to go back. I know in the world of pro wrestling, never say never, but this felt like a never situation between WWE and Punk. I'm just going to say this about the whole situation. And Pro, you can chime in here because I know that's your boy. But this is only happening strictly because wrestling pettiness, which I love. I love a good wrestling petty battle. But this is just WWE wanting to stick it to AEW. They don't want Punk back. If they wanted Punk back, they would have tried mending fences 8 years ago.
No.
This is literally just to stick it to him. And that's it.
It has to be that way from his aspect, too. Because why would he want to go back? If he spent all this time away, just like you said, numerous times he said he didn't want to go back to WWE. So all of a sudden, you're willing to change it up?
Out of spite.
Yeah, just spite, pettiness, the whole 9 yards. Will it work? I don't know. Will it be another train wreck? Probably, because that's what CM Punk likes to conduct, train wrecks. He's done it his entire career. Take away the in-ring work, the man is a walking calamity.
I'm kind of with you, Pro. Like, I saw the rumor.
I'm not reading into it too much either, but we do a wrestling show, so we got to touch on it, especially when it's CM Punk. But that's probably all we're going to talk about. Like, as far as that's what we said, and that's it. I'm not going into more detail with it. I'm not having a 20-minute conversation about it. Like, I don't want to see it happen.
Donald did send commentary for that too, so I'll read his commentary off. I'll quit watching.
I want to see Pro become a WWE fanboy again. So.
They're doing it Monday Night Raw. Donald said, I'll quit watching the main roster and I'll become the biggest AEW mark. I'll learn to love them.
Yeah, I mean, I like people were going bananas. Oh, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, WrestleMania 40, have Punk win the belt, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
No.
Punk shouldn't have won the belt in AEW. Now you want him to come in and take the belt off Rollins? Like, really? So yeah, that's it. That's enough Punk talk. I'm not going into any more. If you want, we can top it off with a comment out of each of you if you want, but I'm not doing a deep dive on Punk now.
If Survivor Series wasn't in Chicago, would we even be having this conversation?
Probably not.
To me, that's just what it is. It's only coming up just because of it being in Chicago.
Taekwon's up and early with the comments. Like to see him back to normal. I like to see the spitefulness between Pro and Taekwon back. That whole Apple Watch giveaway thing just ruined things for me for a week. Like, I know the holiday season's coming up, but I mean, let's not squash all beefs.
It was refreshing the gimmick,
going.
So they had to change it up so they can get back into it.
Gotcha. Okay, nice. I mean, everybody needs a new change of coat. Yeah. Change coat of paint every once in a while. So. Yeah, but that's it on Punk. I got nothing else from that standpoint. So the other thing before we get into Mount Rushmore and Jabroni, and this may be somebody's Mount Rushmore and Jabroni, so if I'm skipping ahead, I apologize, but I just wanted to touch on it and get it out the way early because I saw a lot of it all week long. the whole ratings, faking numbers, fudging numbers, inflating numbers has been going on in pro wrestling since pro wrestling started. I don't think there's ever been a truly accurate gate in pro wrestling.
No.
However, with that being said, this whole John Cena, Paul Heyman, Asuka, Undertaker gong, loan it up NXT for Tuesday night, all because AEW is preempted to Tuesday nights based on the Major League Baseball playoff schedule, is a little ridiculous.
I agree.
Like, what are we doing? See that's wrestling pettiness, right?
Yeah.
That's the wrestling pettiness.
It is. It's 100%.
It's not even the pettiness. I want to see it.
But NXT is what, a development show, right? So it's like you're bringing on all these established names because to me that says,
and only one's wrestling. Only one's wrestling though.
But to me it says just like, yeah, like we don't have faith in the young talent that we have here to pull in the rating. Whenever they just came off a decent rating this past week,
they had one of their best ratings in the last year.
Yeah.
But what are they doing other than just appearing?
So
Cena and Heyman is just in the corner,
and that makes
Oscar's the only one doing something. Oscar's wrestling.
But what do they?
And if Cody's there to announce the Dusty Classic, that's a reason.
What are they having this for, though? Why are they having all these people there for? To draw people in. That's it.
To keep their fan base.
I mean, look, we've heard that WWE wants to push NXT like a legitimate third brand again, even though that's what NXT was before they went to the 2.0 color scheme and everything else. So they're back on pushing it again. Rumor is Triple H is having his, global NXT takeover, idea is back on the table with wanting to, have NXT China and NXT India and all that other stuff that he wanted to before COVID and all that happened. But it's just the way that they're announcing these people to come in and interact with, like, it doesn't make any sense. So Cena's in the corner for Carmelo and Heyman's in the corner for Braun. Why? Like, just cause.
But it's not affecting the wrestling.
No, I get that, but like if you're going to load up the show and bring in some of these huge names, like the top tier names, right? Becky's already there. Asuka should be a top tier name, but the way WWE has booked her in her career kind of, doesn't shed the brightest light on her. But then you're bringing in Cena and Heyman, who have never been in NXT ever.
Cena's been on before.
Cena's been on. When has Cena been on NXT?
I mean, not current NXT, but in the past a few times.
Like FCW NXT?
No, NXT.
Oh, I missed those shows. Yeah. Well, it's
just been a while.
Like, I don't like you do it to pop a rating 1 week and then what? Like, that's my only thing with it. Yeah. Like, and then what? If it turns into something great, but if not, then it was just all right. Wrestling pettiness for wrestling pettiness.
What did Triple H say to AEW a couple months ago? He goes, "Oh, AEW, they beat our developmental. Good for you." So if they beat them in the ratings, Triple H can sit there and say, "Our developmental beat them in the ratings."
But you have two guys who should quite possibly be on the main roster right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about that last week. Melo and Braun have nothing to
transition with those two in your corner.
We'll see. Like, will it be great to feel like the Monday Night Wars again? And I gotta, hit the last button on my remote to go back and forth from channel to channel to watch and see. Yeah, like that's tremendous. Am I going to pick one to watch over the other? Maybe, because I have that option with DVR and I can do that now. Technology permits it. But I just feel like, this is where like the tribalism and the divide is like at its forefront, because it's just all week it's just been, well, we're gonna beat them and we're gonna beat you, and look at all these AEW fans crying because the DVR recording was listed wrong and that's why ratings are down and it's like, yo, like NXT's been a great show. It's been a really good watch for the past couple months. Like, It's one of the better consistent shows of pro wrestling on a weekly basis. AEW has put on better Dynamites lately. May not agree with everything and how they structure it and do it, but from a start to finish standpoint, they have been better than what they have been. So, like, just enjoy the wrestling for the wrestling.
I'll be watching both.
People can't.
I will too, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I'll get back on here on Saturday, and that'll probably be either a Mount Rushmore or a Jabroni of the Week, just because of how big of the night is shaped up to be.
I wish having YouTube TV, like for football games and stuff, you can have multiple stuff. I wish this would be one that I could have both on the screen at the same time.
Put it on the split screen.
Yeah,
absolutely. Put it on the split screen for sure. So I don't know if that was anybody's Mount Rushmore or Jabroni as far as like NXT and loading it up and all that, but I just wanted to touch on that first before we got into the nuts and bolts of the show, as we do each and every single week. So
where do you guys want to start? You want to start with Mount Rushmore and Jabroni, or you want to do predictions first?
Let's run through. Let's switch it up. Let's go through predictions. Let's talk about Fastlane and get that out the way. We'll do it a little different this week.
We only got five
people on their toes.
5 matches for Fastlane scheduled right now. I checked this morning. That's all that's announced. So could be a decent
takeover card.
Yeah. So we'll start it off. We'll do Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus LWO, Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, and right now a to be determined person. Who could it be?
That TBD? Yeah. Spoiler alert. Carlito. Now that's cool.
I've seen people.
I was thinking Dragon Lee.
Yep.
Okay.
Dragon Lee's not. I mean, that's not a bad idea. But Carlito signed back in
I'll take Carlito for the pop.
Yeah.
Carlito signed back in July. Hasn't been mentioned. Used nothing. They got to get him on TV at some point.
And if you're a long-term wrestling fan who watched when Carlito was around, Bobby Lashley and Carlito had some nice U.S. title matches back in the day. So that's a nice little nod to go back to.
Yep, and we saw Carlito at the Puerto Rico pay-per-view come out to the pop, obviously being in Puerto Rico and what Carlito and his family has meant to Puerto Rican wrestling down there. He looked in great shape. Could always talk on the mic, had a great gimmick. Will it work in 2023? Maybe, who knows? But to bring him in for a babyface pop and, further cement Lashley and the Street Profits as heels, it's a good way to align him with the LWO, who's extremely over as a babyface group right now.
And if you're bringing him up, keep him up here. Like, I don't want to see this be just like a quick one-off night and then, SmackDown LWO comes out and he's not there with them.
Yeah, and the only thing that if you add him into the LWO, great, like cool, because that builds up the faction wars that are seemingly coming out of nowhere from WWE. We went 15 years without a single faction in WWE, and now there's like 7 of them, which is cool. I'm here for it. I like factions, right? And you can intertwine them, and we saw with SmackDown last night how they, intertwined the bloodline with Judgment Day, and I'm sure somebody will bring that up and get into that as far as what that means moving forward towards Survivor Series outlook. But yeah, bring him up, add him in with the LWO. I hope it's not a situation where it hurts. I still call him DJZ and
Joaquin.
Yeah, Joaquin. Yeah, like because those two are entertaining. They're both really good in the ring. Like, I hope it's not a situation where they get pushed out. You know what I mean? Like, keep them in, keep them a part of the LWO. Like,
I was going to bring that up. You have 2 guys part of the group. Like, I don't understand why there's a to be determined, but I get. But why you're not using the people in the group to establish it? But
they played up injured.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the beat down or whatever, they're injured. Yeah. So that's why I said I hope it's not where it forces them out.
No.
And then, like if you if you ever want to get to the split from the LWO, you have Escobar to go against Ray. Now you have Escobar to go against Carlito. Like you have some nice mid-card feuds and storyline that you can run with based on adding Carlito to the mix. Or you have Carlito turn, because we know Carlito, as much as he got over being a babyface, he started out as a heel and worked it to its max until the fans just started to love him and they made him a babyface.
And I don't mind adding Carlito to the group because Ray's wrestling a lot more than I thought he was going to be with the LWO. So you can almost have them intertwine. You don't have to have either one of them constantly wrestling. One can be, the outside manager and passing ideas while one's in the ring. You can just switch that up. If you want Ray to be bigger events and Carlito to be, the SmackDown stuff each week, you can do that too.
Now, the Dragon League aspect that both of you brought up is extremely logical to put him in. He got some shine last night on the main roster again. And I'm going to go back after watching last night. I'm going to go back again and I'm going to double down on it and triple down on it. They found their guy as the next Rey Mysterio, like to move forward. He's that guy. After all these years, you found the next mass luchador that's going to be who all the kids have their mask on and, coming out to the ring, everything else. Like, that's the guy.
But we brought up when we were talking about this a few weeks ago, don't blend him in with the LWO though. Like, I get it makes sense. Let him be Dragon Lee. Let that be the march. Don't pawn him off on just LWO stuff.
Right. So who we got?
I'm going Bobby and the Street Profits.
Bobby and the Street Profits.
I like the pop for Carlito coming back in with the LWO. Bobby and the Street Profits, to get them up and running. They can use the win more in this situation. Get them, steamrolling through some people, and because I think they'll be a very entertaining heel faction.
Yeah, and I mean, what was it 2 weeks ago? He said, if you guys can't deliver, just return all the stuff and I'll find somebody else. So I think this is that moment that it's either put up or shut up time for this group. So we need to see them go over tonight.
No doubt. Next.
All right, we'll go with Cena and LA Knight versus Jimmy and Solo.
Can we put? I don't want to. There's anything from last night in that main event, like go home end segment from SmackDown? Is that on anybody's Mount Rushmore?
No.
Okay, then we'll talk about it now since the match is up. I love the way the show went off the air last night. Like, that was as attitude-esque of a show ending. You know what it made me think about? Like, you remember when Dynamite first started? Like the very first couple episodes of Dynamite, and you just had like the chaos endings and not really sure who was going to be with who, and then we see who's aligned with who, and now they're brawling and going off the air and everything else. Like, that was a tremendous way to end the show before a pay-per-view. Like, that felt like a go home show ending for a pay-per-view. And I can't tell you the last time WWE did that.
I enjoyed it, but I nitpicked a little bit. Just because they all lined up on the other side of the ring.
Yeah, that was the...
I'm like, if you automatically gave them an exit, but then you got to realize people were coming through. I'm like, no, just surround the ring, start the fight, and then bring everybody else in.
Right, then have the music hit. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. That was a little, okay. I know we got other people coming out. Right? Yeah. Where was KO and Sammy? Because you had 6 on 4, right? I thought you were going to get 6 on 6. I like Heyman grabbing Solo off the ring and then him circling back around to have the face off with Cena. That's a huge rub for Solo. But I thought the star of the whole damn segment was JD McDonough.
Man, he sold that
sold every
that
single
Crossroads
finisher that he got hit with last night.
Dude's incredible in the ring.
Like you know, the whole character at NXT, I couldn't stand. I didn't like it all.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes
Enjoyed
I
him
look
a lot
at him
more on UK than I did.
Sometimes I look at him and I feel like his head's too big for his body. But man, he could sell his ass off. And the way he sold those finishers last night was that's probably one of the best sales of Crossroads I've seen. Like him and Sammy Guevara probably sold Crossroads the best. Very true, bro. It's very true. Yeah, I thought he was the star of the segment. I enjoyed the go home. It felt like a go home. It got me excited for the pay-per-view, even though those men are involved in different matches. You know, we got Jay across the ring from Jimmy again for the first time since leaving and walking out. Like, but is this your William Regal War Games? Do you do 6-on-6 in a War Games? Can you do 6-on-6 in a War Games?
You can do whatever you want. You know, first time for everything, right? And you know, the thing I like is they officially haven't announced it as War Games yet. So if it is, you know, I like that. I like that better than just pre-announcing it that we're having War Games. You know, at least now it's like, are they doing it? Aren't they doing it?
I wouldn't put Cena in it.
I wouldn't either. That's the one. I would leave Cena out and go 5v5.
Is Cena still going to be around?
That's the other question: is does he make it to Survivor Series based on this writer strike and all that? I will say, even though JD stole the segment of the show and the main event segment last night, I mean, Rhea Ripley is just unbelievable. She was the star last night.
That's part of my Mount Rushmore.
All right, there we go. So we'll touch. All right, go ahead.
Just the presentation. The presentation this week alone sold me on everything.
I mean,
like she should be the head of the company right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying on this show for how long now that she has been the leader of, you know, Judgment Day for how long? Like, it's her group. She runs it. She runs the show. Her interaction with Heyman last night was tremendous.
Gold.
Like that's a grand slam, bottom of the seventh, walk off in the World Series. It's and like the whole Paul acknowledge me was just I like couldn't make a better script to the story.
She's so good and they promote her so well. You know, sometimes like sometimes she's more the mouthpiece for the group than she is a wrestler in the group. And I don't know if they do that on purpose, you know, because it's like you always want more from Rhea. And I don't know if that's why they do it this way, that, you know, they're not oversaturating her character. You're wanting more constantly. But still, best thing in WWE this year, Rhea.
And it also
she came in like an animal on Monday, and then on Saturday or Friday, she came like she was coming for the tribal chief spot.
Book ended both weeks, like both shows of the week. It was her. Absolutely. Like, so well, if she was just part of your Mount Rushmore, what was the other part? What is going on with my feed right now?
You're back now.
Now you're back.
Jeez, oh man.
It was just a presentation of her and Shinsuke. Just so far. I'm like,
right, well, hold on. Actually, hold the Shinsuke until we get to that match. So because I got some takes on that too from Monday. So all right, so the match itself, obviously, Cena and LA Knight are winning, and it's very clear.
Yeah,
the push, the rocket ship, the rocket boosters, whatever you want to say, that's going to be attached to LA Knight. It's T-10 and the countdown is on, because after tonight's pay-per-view, that push is here. 1000%. They're not backing off of that.
Now, where do you go with this? That's my only question.
I don't care where. I honestly don't care where they go with it right now because I just want to see him get the push.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's brand new. It's somebody that's completely different. It's somebody that wasn't thought of to be a guy. Like,
yeah,
it's so refreshing to see. I mean, it's not the same 3 or 4 people. I will say though, later on, a couple months from now, there may be that debate. You know, LA Knight Cody, how do you write the story? Where is it going? What's, Triple H's announcement on Fox next week? Like, there's a lot to be played out here as far as who, what, when, where, why. But I'm ready for the push.
So after Fastlane, you have Crown Jewel. Most likely they'll do something with LA Knight there. Do you do a him and Cena to give it that push?
No. Well, rumors are it's going to be Cena and Roman at Crown Jewel, which makes sense because of the Saudi audience and what they asked for. So if you have Cena around and he's willing to go to Saudi, he'll be on the show and probably wrestle Roman.
But the past couple, they have been treating it more like a pay-per-view instead of just a throw together a special event. And that's made me enjoy the events a little bit better too.
I don't know. This one just feels different though. And maybe not because it's prior to Survivor Series. So that's just like Fastlane, Crown Jewel, Survivor Series. That's a lot to carry over. Yeah. One of those are going to have to not necessarily miss the mark, but you're going to have one bleed into the other. And since Crown Jewel's first, I would rather it bleed into having a banger of a Survivor Series than the other way around, where you put on this amazing Crown Jewel and Survivor Series is just War Games, and that's it.
I wish Crown Jewel wasn't there right now because, like you were talking about, with all the feuds and the groups that we have right now, like I wish we had this great length of time in between Fastlane and Survivor Series to build up that card.
Yeah, because not like you don't know what happens if the Bloodline and Judgment Line go sideways or Judgment Day go sideways. Like there's a feud right there between factions. Like you have the groups and you have the time. Like you could build up to where it feels like an old school Survivor Series, which was one of my favorite pay-per-views growing up. One of the ones that I look forward to the most was that teams of 5 strive to stay alive, so to speak.
Because they built those big 4 events. Like there wasn't anything in between. You built up to make it a great event, and they always delivered.
So but going back to the original question with the match, I got Cena and LA Knight. There's no way they lose.
Yeah, Cena, LA Knight.
All right, that'll start us off with some title matches. We'll get into the women's championship. Io, Asuka, and Charlotte.
I hate everything about this. I hate the booking
throwing
of
together
it.
Women's match.
I hate the way they've handled it. To me, the story more for the focus on Io's title run is her and Bayley, but they've just made Bayley be like this incompetent leader who just loses matches all the time now. So like, I hate everything about this, and I hate the fact that Asuka's going to only put in this match to take the pin. I got Io retaining.
Same. I'm still enjoying the dynamic between Bayley and Io. I'm just waiting for that to turn.
We had SummerSlam finally doing something with them. And it's just like only 2 months later. It's just like just hasn't delivered as much as it should. And Io should be up there being talked about as one of the greatest champions of all time. And I wish she
was. What's the deal with the Goldberg references this morning? Like that's like saying Candyman 5 times and he appears. I got 4 Goldberg comments in a row. You say one more, I'm gonna have to shadow ban you from commenting the rest of the episode. What are we doing here?
That's Saudi.
Yeah, that's Saudi money.
We don't need any more Goldberg at Saudi shows. I said it a couple weeks ago. I think this match is only put together to give Charlotte that next win. So Charlotte for the win tonight. I don't need it. I like Charlotte. She doesn't need it, but they're just trying to get her there.
I'll be. If Charlotte wins, just pencil in that for my jabroni next week. So, spoiler alert.
All right. Up next, we'll go with the Undisputed Tag Team Championship: Finn and Damian versus Cody and Jay.
This is interesting. I don't see Finn and Damian losing. I don't see this ending in a clean finish either. This is like a double count out, DQ, shenanigans, the whole 9 yards. I think the matchup will be great. But I got Finn and Damian winning.
Finn and Damian, when the Judgment Day are all on one accord, they're not losing.
Agree. I see shenanigans. I don't necessarily see it ending in double count out or anything, but I see, Rhea or JD, somebody or Dom coming out and just getting involved and getting them the W for tonight. All right, so that gives us one last. Could be the main event. I don't know. We'll see who ends up main eventing. But last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship: Seth versus Nakamura.
All right, Jay, the floor is yours. You can present your other half of your Mount Rushmore this week with Shinsuke from Monday night.
I don't know where this has been for how long he's been in there, but I am completely invested in Shinsuke right now. This man has me reading subtitles. I never read subtitles. I'm just interested in everything he's doing right now, especially when he did the count out via the Jumbotron. Man, that was gold. Like, put the belt on him right now. This has to be his.
I don't. If Seth's back is as messed up as it is and everything, like leading to this last man standing match and not be the way that he drops the belt and then goes away for some time off, I'm completely okay with it. I thought Shinsuke should have won at the last pay-per-view, but he didn't. Yeah. But man, Monday night, that was one of the better, I don't want to say swerves because it wasn't even really a swerve, but just the way they handled the beatdown of Seth with the video package and him counting down and Seth being completely confused and then getting jumped. And as Shinsuke jumps, he goes into the corner and Shinsuke's counting down on the screen to do another move. And then he starts counting again. Like, I loved everything about it on Monday night. Like you said, I'm completely invested in Shinsuke, leaning into that Japanese culture, putting the subtitles up there, having the anime, like all that. This is exactly who he is and where he should have been on the main roster since he debuted off of NXT.
And you could have done something like this with Asuka, like half and half, because I still enjoy her in ring screaming and all that stuff, but you could have done the packages just as good as this.
You didn't have to do anything with Asuka. If she would have just came up as she was done NXT, she would have been fine.
Yeah. So this one has been the 50-50 coin flip all week for me as far as coming up with a prediction. Because of how they're presenting Shinsuke right now, I really want to see him get a run with the belt. It don't got to be a long run, but I really want to see him get a run with the belt as he is right now, because I feel like this is the best version of him since he's debuted on the main roster. So I'm going to go with Shinsuke with my heart, even though my head is probably going to say Seth retains.
Give me Shinsuke, because I don't. At some point, the fans going to turn on Seth with all these wins. So get it off of him now.
I'm going with Seth to retain. I wouldn't be upset if Nakamura won the title. I'm here for both of these guys. Jeez.
Can we ban him right now?
Yeah, right.
You put Goldberg and Tyrus in the same sentence.
Just gotta disconnect the Twitch feed here.
Hey, why not add Ryback to that and have just the greatest triple threat ever?
You really want to turn people off. If they would do something, I think it's the whole thing. Seth back injuries at work. I think that's just part of the storyline for this match. I don't really see it being something that's moving forward, but if it is real, and he just needs some time off, to rehab for a bit, they don't have a pay-per-view in December. So you could easily take the title off him now, let him sit out next couple months, and then he can come back for Royal Rumble and challenge and win the title back for WrestleMania season.
But not mad at that.
Yeah, but I'm going with Seth tonight.
All right. Match of the night.
Give me the Profits and LWO.
I could have potential. A lot of mixed styles in that. I'll go Seth and Nakamura.
I was leaning Seth and Nakamura, and even though I just shitted on the booking of the women's match, those three have the potential to pull something out.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't like the way Charlotte's timing just seems off lately.
Yeah.
As far as her in the ring. I mean, that could be with everything else she's dealing with on a personal level. But I'll go with the women as a sleeper for match of the night.
And I've said before, I like Charlotte. Charlotte herself has never been somebody that I've been like, that's like match of the year candidate by herself. She's been in matches that are good, but she's never been like the draw for me.
All right, that's your Fastlane breakdown. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what we got right, what we got wrong. I feel like my feed is off again. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's off slate.
I don't get it.
It'll work itself out.
All right, Mount Rushmore and Jabroni. Let's get into it. Before we have a little debate this to close out the show. Mount Rushmore.
Jason, you gave yours for.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore for me. I go back to last weekend between Wrestle Dream and NXT No Mercy. From a premium live event / pay-per-view standpoint, I enjoyed the hell out of both shows.
Solid weekend.
Mm-hmm. Like you could argue for some of those matches to be up there. I saw Meltzer's star ratings, even though they don't mean nothing, but I don't know how you don't give Dragunov and Mello 5 stars.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany and Becky over-delivered on what they did. We talked about that on last week's show. The Wrestle Dream card, Hangman and Swerve, I really enjoyed. FTR Aussie Open, tremendous. Last week I was not mad watching pay-per-view quality shows last week. So kudos to both companies from that standpoint. So I will have both pay-per-views as my Mount Rushmore from this past week in pro wrestling.
Okay. I'm going to give it to Dynamite on Wednesday. As hit or miss, sometimes Dynamite can be lately. I felt like they delivered a solid show. Was everything good on it? No. But there's never going to be a wrestling program that fires on all cylinders for everything. But there was a lot of things on Wednesday night that I was just like, okay, they set the tone for a couple things. I'm interested to seeing if they move forward with them. I love Samoa Joe's promo package. It's just like right there, you gave somebody a great gimmick who doesn't need a gimmick, but just let it be. Like if you play off of that more, I'll love that. Like everything they do.
Wait, before you hold on, don't lose your train of thought. Why is he not doing that in Ring of Honor?
I was going to say that too. He's technically the Ring of Honor person, but
just a question.
Yeah, it's time to take him to get rid of the television title and just keep him on AEW. He's on AEW more than he's on Ring of Honor anyway. So,
well, you could say that about every single Ring of Honor title. Like nothing is said except Athena,
yeah.
Right?
Athena's the only one that doesn't get overplayed on AEW.
Any play.
All right, so Joe. Okay, Joe. All right, what else did you like?
I loved Wardlow just coming back, ran through Griff real quick, and just didn't even care about the win, just left. So it's just like, okay, he's got a chip on his shoulder.
The only thing I just wish he would have I just wish he would have slowed down just a second.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Just a second, just so the audience could get into the Powerbomb Symphony. Because you gotta build up some equity again with the audience.
But it didn't feel like it was the Powerbomb. Yes, it was the Powerbomb Symphony, but it didn't feel like it was the Powerbomb Symphony on Wednesday night. I think it was more letting out anger than it was playing to the crowd. But I get that, you know.
So that was great, but on the flip side, this is where we go into AEW laying out shows and everything and not letting stuff breathe. You have Wardlow come out, do that, and then they immediately go into Edge's video package for his debut. So it's like you just tainted having Wardlow, who's a homegrown star, come back after being off TV for how many months? No follow-up, no questions, no nothing, and just played Edge. Or Adam Copeland, sorry. So
what they do, I don't get it either. I wish they would follow through with things. They've done it occasionally, but it's rare.
All right, what's next?
I just hope for Wardlow that they actually continue something with that. You know, how many times have they developed Wardlow just to stop using him at some point? So we'll see where this goes. Loved MJF and the Acclaimed in the back too. And it's just like him and Max, it's like Max has built this up on Twitter and social media for months and years almost. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere because I think it was more MJF after, you know, all the guys ending Dynamite last week. I think it was him just being cautious of getting attacked more than something developing. But I would love to see something actually between the two Maxes.
Well, you could use that as him to lean on friends because Adam Cole didn't answer when he called him. And, you know, you saw Cole with Roddy, which I thought that was an entertaining vignette with them doing that. So, all right, MJF. Okay. Are you mad at
good?
Are you mad the way that they just automatically announced MJF and Jay White for Full Gear, even though we're how many weeks away?
At least they've given 2 weeks of build up to announce it instead of just announcing it like 1 week out.
Okay.
I wish it would be a little bit better. The one I wish would have been better on Wednesday night, and I think it was just a hiccup and shit happens in wrestling, was loved Hobbs coming out, you know, just being dominant. Unfortunately, the duct tape had plans of its own, and they were just kind of scrambling in that segment just to salvage it in some way, but it just, because of that, it just didn't come off the way I think it was planned.
Yeah, so Hobbs was supposed to be a main focus on Collision, but now you add him to the Callis family. So what, is he just going to be on Dynamite now moving forward?
It almost seems like there's not a split now. Now it's like you can be on, I mean, the Acclaimed were on every show, no matter what. You know, they were like one of the few acts that was on everything. Now you're going to have Bullet Club on Dynamite instead of just keeping them on Collision.
I don't mean to double back here, but yeah, Pro, if they gave these people that are in Ring of Honor the stuff that they're doing on Dynamite and they had it on Ring of Honor, yeah, I would tune in to Ring of Honor.
Me, not so much. I'm not paying for it.
All right. Anything else that you really liked?
That was the highlights of it from Wednesday for me.
All right. What's Donald's Mount Rushmore? And then I'm going to double back to you, Chris, afterwards. So.
Dirty Dom. So professional in putting Trick over at No Mercy, then showing he could come back and capture the North American title like a true veteran. I respond back to Donald after that. I hate you.
I knew Dom was going to be his Mount Rushmore this week. You know, how could he not? He's the third best pro wrestler in all of pro wrestling, according to Donald's rankings. So, yeah.
When he said you're 6'3", 240, and you still in Metal Shadow, I was like, that's gold right there.
Yeah. Tremendous stuff there. Okay. All right. So, Chris, back to you with your Mount Rushmore for Dynamite. No Adam Copeland?
No. Was it? It was okay, but there was better things on Wednesday night.
But you didn't. So that did nothing. That did nothing for you.
I enjoyed the segment, but it necessarily wasn't, my top thing. Somebody else has some stuff that he wants to talk about with that. So
you said I'm a Christian, so I don't care.
I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Read Donald's, because I also felt this was going to be his jabroni of the week this week. So read his, and then I'll follow up after you read his.
So to preface this, his jabroni of the week, he said he's putting the red glasses on as he's writing this. Edge lying through his teeth saying Toronto was the perfect retirement match for him. But no, we have another selfish legend stealing spotlight from young talent. First thing that came out of his mouth Wednesday was the AEW title. I forgot AEW has the title he never lost 18 years ago. And if you fans really want to see Edge and Christian's story, watch Build Up and Match at Unforgiven 2001. Same story being told. Stay home with your daughters, you selfish asshole.
Wow. All right. So let's touch on it here a little bit based off of what Donald said. So yeah, did he mention the AEW title? Absolutely.
Does he stay away from the AEW title? Absolutely.
Do I think Edge will win the AEW title? No. Lying through his teeth about Toronto being the perfect retirement match. If you listen to Edge's interviews that he's conducted during the week, he spoke on that and said, yes, that was the perfect retirement match for that version and that character.
That was Edge's retirement match.
It was Edge's retirement match. He still feels like he has a full tank left. He wants to maximize it for as long as this run takes. He knows what it's going to cost him on a physical basis to do what he wants to do. And he wants to go out on his shield. I got nothing wrong with that. If you feel like you can contribute and be an every week wrestler and you want to do that for the next year, hell, even if it's only 6 months, and then you go, all right, guys, I'm out. I can't do it. I'm empty. Okay, cool. You got no problem with that. But he didn't just lie and blow smoke up everybody's ass with the whole Toronto retirement match stuff. And then I saw people shitting on him because he refused to put Sheamus over. Maybe Sheamus didn't want to go over in that situation. Did you ever think about that?
Mm-hmm. It's like if it's not completely his swan song, you don't have to go out. Just because you're going out of the company doesn't mean that you have to lose. I know there's traditions in the past, but
I got nothing wrong with what he said in the promo he cut. Do I think that it's the same story being told as back in the day with Christian and Edge? No. I felt, and this is where my jabroni of the week comes in, I felt everything about the segment was perfect. Christian Cage continuing to be probably the most entertaining wrestler in 2023.
False.
Saying, go fuck yourself, was perfect. That's where AEW missed the dismount. Edge's reaction, Christian walks out of the ring, they pan to Edge's reaction. That's immediately where you go to black.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need Christian walking up the ramp, the camera following him, everything else for him to turn around and say, oh, this is what you have to look forward to. And then you have Luchasaurus come out and Nick Wayne with a Wish version of a Coogee sweater. You completely ruined the dismount. For what? We already know Edge is wrestling Luchasaurus. You announced it 17 times during the 2-hour show.
And then they took what happened afterwards and they released it on social anyways. So you could just stop where you're saying and then just released all that afterwards.
Just fade the black on Edge's face.
I'll agree with you on that.
He talked to his best friend that he's been best friends with since he was 6 years old. Said his girls want him to go have fun with Uncle Jay. I got stuff in the tank left. Let's run it back. Me and you. Let's have these matchups with FTR, with the Young Bucks. Let's go Aussie Open. Let's show why we are who we are in tag team wrestling that people forget about because we've been singles for so long. And Christian brings him in for a hug and tells him to go fuck himself. And you don't fade to black after that? What are you doing?
I'll definitely agree.
Like that was like everything else I loved. You knew something was happening because they had Edge being the main. They have Adam Copeland being the main event segment.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew there was something that was going to happen between him and Christian, especially after Wrestle Dream ended the way it did. And you got the perfect send off to end the show. And you mushed it. Like sometimes they just don't know when to get out of their own way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all I had. I enjoyed Dynamite. You know, matter of fact, I enjoyed everything I watched this week. From the pay-per-views last weekend straight through last night.
But while we're on the subject of Edge, before we get into that, I'm going to go into my jabroni because it focuses on this. It wasn't the segment or anything, but for me, it was wrestling Twitter and the IWC, whatever you want to call them. Like I'm just over that shit. Like this is the shit that makes me just want to stay off social media anymore. Just the seeing people throwing their Edge figures in the trash, or WWE should take Edge out of the Hall of Fame because he turned his back on WWE. It's just like, why are you just trying to get attention for yourselves on there? Just like it just gets so over it. And there was more of that stuff that I saw than good this week for Adam.
And you know what I think it is, Chris, is because we're old enough to where we lived through the Attitude Era and we saw people jumping ship from both brands. So this excites us because we're like, oh,
yeah,
he's going here, she's going there. We got new matchups, this, that, and the other. Like, who's going to leave next? Who would be best suited in what company? Like, we lived through all that during the Attitude Era. And
the best part of us living through that, though, was not knowing whose contract was up. We didn't know when contracts were up unless they like really made public news. So whenever like Radicals, whenever they debuted, in WWE, like that was a shock,
right?
Like there was stuff like that you were surprised whenever someone showed up on another program.
And Booker T brought that up with the wrestling journalism, so to speak, and giving away scripted shows and all these spoilers and everything else. And it's like, yo, you're not being a journalist. You're just trying to ruin what's coming. Like, if I know what's coming, why am I going to tune in and watch it?
Then you're already expecting it.
Right.
This is kind of the problem of like what's going on right now with this whole CM Punk rumor. Just like if you're expecting it, then you're not living in the moment of it happening. And then if it doesn't happen, like AEW's done in the past, then they shit on it, going like, well, why didn't CM Punk show up? No, it's just like, let it play off organically.
All right, Cam, with a question here. Curious on your thoughts on which company switch has more of an impact, Cody to WWE or Edge to AEW?
Cody to WWE.
I think overall, honestly, I think this is one that I'm going to say it's going to be to be determined for me, because I don't feel like either. Edge is still way too new for that. But same with Cody. It's just like he hasn't finished his story yet. We'll say that. So it's like I don't think we felt the impact for either one yet to judge it.
If the timing was closer to them switching, then yeah, you could definitely look at it. Because Cody's had a year head start, a year and a half, even though he was out injured for 6, 7, 8 months. I don't know. Like, I think they're two totally different guys. They bring two totally different factors. I am curious to see the AEW fan base with Adam Copeland and how that plays out. Like, is he just going to be their guy a la CM Punk, where they're just going to be love and cheer and, be behind him 100%? Or is it going to be, hey, you ex-WWE guy, we don't want you in these matches against these certain people, or why are you beating certain people? Like, I don't know. That'll be something to see how it plays out.
This is interesting. The difference is Cody already went to that dance. Edge has never been seen outside of WWE throughout most of his career. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see a different presentation for him. Not that, right now it's just Edge at Adam Copeland as Edge still, but we'll see how it goes over time. Does he change his wrestling? Does he change anything about his wrestling in the ring to differ?
I will say this: the impact for both men. I feel the impact for both men may be felt more in the backstage locker room area than what you will ever see on TV play out. And I feel that Adam Copeland coming in and saying what he said and doing what he's doing, I feel like Adam Copeland is going to be what everybody hoped CM Punk was going to be when he first signed up with AEW. He'll be that locker room guy. He'll be that sounding board. He'll work with young talent. He'll invest in talent. He'll give his knowledge to talent and not cause any problems.
Did you see FTR pop the hell for him, like on the side of the ramp? It's like, yeah. I think talent there is really excited to work with him.
But I think he'll be everything that AEW was hoping CM Punk would be. From that veteran megastar who comes in and, is another voice that people can lean on and build off of. Yeah. And I think Edge is at that point in his career where he wants to do that from a backstage standpoint. Now, I have nothing to base that statement off of, but just looking at it as an outsider in, like, I really do feel like he is genuine and will. You think you know him? Oh, this guy, dad joke.
However long he's there for, right now I'm interested in seeing where this goes. Like they have my curiosity on what they can do with this.
Now, I will say this, just real quick before we get into debate this, because we're an hour in. With people jumping ship, so to speak, Cody, Jade, now Adam. We already saw Mox come over way back when. Who do you think benefits more from people jumping ship, AEW or WWE?
AEW.
Give me the wrestler from WWE that would jump ship to AEW that makes you say that.
That makes me say
that AEW would benefit more from having somebody jump ship from WWE to them.
Anybody, just off name value. Because if anybody from AEW comes to WWE, it feels like you're coming to the big leagues.
So you're thinking it's like the TNA effect. There's somebody from WWE going, like a Kurt or Booker T going to TNA, that it makes them feel legitimate because they're coming from WWE.
Because they're still not on equal footing. I mean, as much as we want to say they're still not level.
And they don't have to be.
They don't, but I mean, the AEW has ways to catch up to be WWE, so anybody can get.
All they have to be is different. That's it. And that's been one of my issues with AEW lately, where I just feel like, unfortunately, they're trying to be WWE light instead of being just the way they were at the beginning, just being different, just carving their own niche in there. It's still been entertaining. It's still AEW, still normally my favorite show, whether it's Dynamite or Collision, each week. But I don't know who would move over that I would think that would change the game. I think it's just one of those things that you have to see what they do with them. It's like, Kurt was a big deal whenever it happened, and we look back now saying, Kurt changed the game whenever he showed up in TNA. But Kurt proved why he changed the game in TNA. Like, it wasn't day one the game had changed.
I mean, Christian was a big signing for TNA when he first left.
He had a great run in TNA. Had he not had that great run, I don't know if WWE would have taken him back. One of those factors of talent left to establish themselves again in order to warrant going back.
I just thinking from like Jason brought up, from a name perspective, right? Pro, you're definitely getting banned. How did you not like that Cole?
My audio was off on that.
No, that was everybody's. That's TBS. That was
Yeah.
TBS. They played the arena audio feed, which is why they went back and re-aired it again. I just think like the difference between WCW and WWE guys going back and forth during the Attitude Era versus AEW and WWE now, there were bigger stars back then. I don't feel like if you're not having a Roman or a Seth, you just had Adam Copeland do it.
Mm-hmm.
Cena would never. I don't think Brock would, but money talks to Brock. So if Tony Khan ponies up enough money, maybe.
I think Brock has a little bit of loyalty behind it, even though it's money. He's kind of talked about, like, whenever he got pissed that the company got sold.
But I don't feel like there's as many big time star names to go back and forth to make that big of a difference. Especially from WWE to AEW, because there's not a whole, like, say what you will, but outside of Roman, Seth, Brock, Cena, like, there's not really that name to jump to go, oh shit. Because WWE really hasn't built anybody up in the last 20 years.
Yeah. There's nobody off the most recent cut list that's really going to do that.
No.
There might be some great talent in there that can help round out some rosters or change some things. But yeah, nobody right now that's a free agent that I feel can do that.
Yeah, top dollar, holla, holla, holla. To quote Teddy Long. All right, let's get into debate this. So, with it being the fall season and War Games potentially coming up again at Survivor Series as it was last year, out of these four, what is the best match concept? War Games, Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber, or the Old Faithful, the OG itself, the Steel Cage match?
The blue cage, right?
The blue cage. Yep. But just cage match in general. But
sure.
Yeah,
I don't know, that the blue cage that was like it was used from time to time to be that that gimmick match, from time to time, but most of the time that was there for blowing a feud off. This is it. This is how we're going to do it. I kind of miss every now and then whenever the cage, you don't have to like go over the cage to win. You'll go out the door, go climb over the cage. Like whenever it's a pinfall, it's just like, I don't know if that's still a cage match to me, but
nobody goes over anymore. Everybody goes to the door or a pin.
That's because they build them to be 40 feet tall so they can do a moonsault and go, holy shit, instead of escaping the cage because you're in a blood feud to blow off,
And the blue cage was built to climb. It had, basically the footholes in it to climb up and down, where you're not seeing Earthquake climb this cage. Like you would see him climb that one. It's different. I mean, that the blue cage is always going to hold that special place in my heart because that's what I grew up on. It's like that's what I think of for a steel cage. War Games wasn't my favorite ever. Like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a must watch for me every year. I don't know. As much as I enjoyed WCW, it just never did it. I think I got to go Hell in a Cell. Like I just felt like that really was the violent ending for a feud. Like I look back and Undertaker Mankind was what it was for it, but like look at the first one. Just Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, how they just delivered. Like that's the perfect way to set up a new concept match.
Jay?
I'm gonna go Hell in a Cell because it gave the top of the cage as also a platform. And you had everything in between. You had the weapons. You had everything you have in the War Games. So yeah, I'm gonna just go Hell in a Cell.
But if you didn't have but the devil's advocate thing, it's like if you didn't have War Games, would there have been a Hell in a Cell? Because would they have came up with that idea, without WCW already creating it?
Oh, possibly. I mean, you had the cage.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go like timeline wise, I think War Games was before the first steel cage match. I could be wrong based on my timing, maybe. But like you could write them, the steel cage gave way to War Games. War Games gave birth to Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell gave birth to Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Right. So each one is an addition on the other one.
Yeah.
From a concept idea, I love the War Games concept, especially the early days of War Games when you had, the Horsemen in there and you had Dusty and them. You want to talk about blowing off feuds? That was blowing off feuds, and it literally was the match that changed your life. If you go back and watch some of those early War Game matches, those guys definitely walked out of there completely different than what they were going in. Hell in a Cell, same way. The original Elimination Chamber, the same way, right?
How many injuries literally came out of there? Legitimately came out of Elimination Chamber.
So were they some of the most dangerous matches? Yeah, absolutely. I feel War Games is probably the best concept out of these four, just because of what it did and how everybody's involved in the time clock was the one-upmanship and having the man advantage for a certain time, and it was literally a war of attrition between five guys.
I think NWA did the War Games better than Turner WCW did.
Yeah, so I'll go War Games as far as best concept. I'm with you, Chris. The OG steel cage, like Hogan Bundy in the blue cage, Saturday Night Main Event, like climbing over and scaling down and hopping out. Like those matches are some of the ones that I remember the most from my childhood.
Yeah.
So I'll go War Games best concept. The one I feel the most nostalgia towards is the OG blue steel cage, like you.
I got Donald's here. He said, best match concept is original Hell in the Cell. This match was true endo rivalry. The smaller cell made it more intimate and allowed for better ideas in using the cell as a weapon. So, actually, and I think they did use like the blue cage as a weapon, and like people used to bleed off the blue cage, but it's like it always made me wonder, like, why are they bleeding off of just hitting that? You know, like now, like they rub their face in the fence, and I get it, but.
Concept War Games, match quality, steel cage, or Hell in a Cell. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised, Elimination Chamber didn't get more love based on how innovative it was and the pods. It was like a combination of all three, right? Yeah. It was a combination of steel cage, War Games, and Hell in a Cell, because you had the roof. You had the pods, so people coming out one at a time, a la War Games, and then the cage itself being the original cage. So that one to me was the most combination of the four itself.
I enjoy them. They just don't have that level of extreme to them.
Those original ones.
I mean, you don't get the weapons and all that. It turns into your regular match.
Yeah. They did try that once, but nobody watched that pay-per-view.
I thought about putting TNA Lockdown on there, but then I figured everybody would just shit on it because, it's TNA. So
War Games in a 6-sided ring.
Yeah.
I wish they would have. I wish before WWE brought back the War Games concept, I wish they would have treated Elimination Chamber sometimes like a War Games match. Like, instead of just having to use it as a 6 individual match, like there were times like you could have used teams of 3 against each other. They just never took it that way.
I mean, the tag was decent.
The tag was decent, yeah.
I also don't like how they made Elimination Chamber like the de facto other WrestleMania title match.
Yeah.
Like they did that for how many years where it was like, all right, Elimination Chamber, whoever wins the chamber match gets the shot at the other title. And I just didn't like that they turned that into that.
And they're still doing it because this February will be in Australia's Elimination Chamber.
That's going to be LA Knight tomorrow.
Maybe.
For Seth's
belt. The start of Kofi Mania. Yeah. All right. Anything else from this week that wasn't pro wrestling?
I think we covered everything that I had.
Jay, anything for you?
My jabronis real quick. I'm gonna go with.
Oh yeah, that's right. We didn't even hit your jabroni. My bad.
One, that Halloween Spirit barbed wire bat Becky pulled out. Don't ever do that again.
The McFoley collection.
Did you see what that barbed wire did to her arm though?
Was it that? I see
what it was.
See what happened to her arm. Yeah. 2, I'm gonna go with WWE production cutting off the DIY segment. The one time they're bad with timing.
Yeah.
And the last one, I'm gonna go with this Warner Brother deal. One, you cut off the live streaming to for the licensing. You can't stream live on like Xfinity apps or anything. You have to be in your house to watch it. And then they messed up the DVR recording this week on the biggest show for AEW. So they had the timing off and people didn't get to see the show.
There you go.
That's the downside of DVR sometimes. Because they did the overrun this week. And if you don't know that's coming, if they don't plan that ahead of time to adjust the DVR recordings.
No, but I don't think it was like they said, what was it? Dish and Verizon, they had Dynamite scheduled earlier in the day on the thing, so it didn't record.
Okay.
It recorded some earlier in the day as Dynamite, so they didn't get Dynamite at all.
And that's where people were complaining. Oh, how do you say that messes up ratings? Like people that watch Dynamite every week don't know when it's on. Like, yeah, but TV's not consumed in hour blocks anymore. It hasn't been that way in years. So if I know that Dynamite's on Wednesday from 8 to 10, but I have it on my DVR to be recorded and I can sit down and watch it, I'm going to sit down and watch it whenever I want to watch it.
No.
It still counts towards the rating, but if you mess that up and it's not there or it doesn't get recorded at all, then yeah, it's going to have some impact on ratings. Like I said, I'm so over the ratings bullshit. I don't care what the ratings are.
The worst part of
fictitious number. It's a fictitious number. We talk about blowing up gates and not giving correct numbers on houses. The ratings are fictitious. There's no way to actually calculate a true TV rating in today's market.
You're ranting about this a week early because this is going to be all the talk next week.
Yeah.
After Tuesday.
Spoiler alert. I'll get back on this soapbox again next week. Stop acting like the end all be all's ratings. It's not 1996 when you have 2, maybe 3 TVs at most in a household and you have only 45 channels and everybody got based off of the Nielsen ratings from how many TVs are on that channel at that particular time. You can't accurately calculate a rating nowadays. It's like the music industry. What's a stream? Nobody knows the answer to it.
Yeah. Because now you just don't count what you're watching on TV. You count the clips they count the clips online and all the YouTube views, everything on Twitter and social media.
Yeah. So my little soapbox to end the show.
Feel better?
From a negative perspective. Now I got some positivity. See, I tear you down and I build you back up.
Okay.
All right. So that being said, before we plug the positivity quote of the week, thanks for tuning in as always on your Saturday mornings, getting you right for your weekend. Hit us up on social media at dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media at dumbmarkspod. Email the show at dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. Head on over to prowrestlingtees.com/dumbmarkspod. Buy a shirt. We'll give you a live shout out on air. Audio listeners only. Spotify. Head on over, subscribe, and share the hell out of the show. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We love the engagement, the interaction. Comment section is great. Keep it up. Keep rocking with us. We'll keep trying to entertain you on a weekly basis. And with that being said, for your positivity quote of the week, if you spend your time chasing butterflies, they'll fly away. But if you spend your time making a beautiful garden, the butterflies will come to you. Don't chase, attract.
Plastic bitches.
Just end the show.